what every English person should know before visiting the States. This also includes the Scots, the Welsh, New Zealanders, Australians, and to a extremely less degree, the Canadians. And that is, uh, this is just some information as well as some commentary. Um, the Americans, first of all, when you talk about Americans, I want to ask, do you mean Mexicans, Nicaraguans, Brazilians, Argentinians, Chileans, Bolivians? Because this is the States. It's strange that everybody calls it America when it's the United States of America, which is part of North America, which contains Canada, United States, Mexico, and Central America. And then there's South America. Aside from that, um, there's this jab, or maybe some call it a meme or whatever, amongst the British people, saying the Americans are overly religious or too religious, or I mean, I often hear the English mocking the States for being too religious. Even the latest Doctor Who episode, the Doctor, played by Peter Capaldi, takes a swipe at the U.S. for being too religious. You know, he said, "Oh, what is presence here? What is he going to start praying?" Two comments on that. Would you mock Muslims for praying, or Hindus, Sikhs, or Jews, or is it just towards, you know, Protestants and Catholics? But also, I find this, and I'll get into the more laid back stuff. I guess the serious stuff is up front, so hold your horses. I do get along with English people. It's just these are some things that will rub American. I'll use Americans for you guys. You got me saying now. Might rub us the wrong way. I find it hypocritical, or we do, since the Queen is the head of the church as well as the military. Not to mention that there are still anti-Catholic laws on the books in the United Kingdom, and open anti-Catholic / anti-Irish racism celebrated in Northern Ireland. Wow, you guys, the American flag is everywhere over here. You guys always have flags up. Well, check out Belfast and the northern 6 counties that are occupied by Crown forces in Ireland. You know, Fermanagh, Ardoyne, South Armagh. But check out Belfast. You'll see each street is chock full of flags and banners, either the tricolor or the Union Jack / Union flag. But also you'll find the celebration of death squads on murals that were sponsored by the United Kingdom. Kind of creepy. Now getting into the more silly, mundane things. Taxes. Why, when it says $6.99, is it actually like $7.35 or something? Well, there was this little event called the Revolutionary War, which before that there was the Stamp Act, the Tea Act, the Boston Tea Party, where there was no taxation without representation, except those who represented the people living in the colonies were living on estates in England. Those were the representatives for the colonists. Now, Cornwallis actually argued in favor of the colonies' right to represent themselves, even though he was the general that wound up fighting the colonial forces. So we want to know what the price is and what the government tax is being put on it, so that the government can't pull one over on us. Just kind of like how England did, or I should say, the Crown did to us, well, as well as Parliament, because we had an issue with a bigger, stronger country that had the most powerful navy that tried to bully these basically farmers in and do-it-yourselfer type of people in the 13 original colonies. So that's why the tax isn't hidden in the price. Also, the size of soft drinks. You know, you guys have like a gallon size, plastic cup where you put Coke in it. Well, this is a cultural thing. We fill that thing up with ice and then put in the soda or pop or whatever you want to call it. I just say Coke. Then you pour in the Coke. So as you drink it, you're also taking in more. As the ice melts, you wind up taking in a hell of a lot of water, which is healthy for you. Why are Americans just so fat and lazy? This usually comes from people who visited Florida, especially Orlando. New York, Los Angeles, or Southern California, and Florida do not represent the states. I encourage people from other countries to come to Chicago or Cincinnati, Minnesota, places like that, the heart of the states, the heart of this union, this republic, the first democratic republic that worked. Going to Hawaii again, can you really say you've been to the United States if you visited Hawaii? Yeah, sure, it's a state, but in New York you'll find people being noisy and rude. In Southern California you'll find people being superficial, and in Florida, Southern Florida, you'll find people on rascals that weigh 400 pounds. This is a surprise to nobody. What else? This is more for people in Europe, but people will hear others say, hey, you're Italian, I'm Italian too, or you're Irish, I'm Irish too, or you're Swedish, I'm Swedish too. And the foreigner, the visitor, vacationer will be offended and say, no, you're not, you're an American. There's no such thing as an American. The pre-Columbian Americans aren't actually even Americans, because they weren't around. They didn't form the 13 colonies. 13 colonies, and the Revolutionary War was mainly fought by the white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. So you identify with who you are, and there's strong ties to the old country. Like me, I gave to NORAID during the 90s, as well as I don't want to say that I donated to the Continuity IRA or 32 County Sovereignty Movement, because that might cause a rift, but I still hold strong connection with Ireland, even though I'm half Irish. Nobody is from the United States. I mean, even when you run into quote-unquote Native American, they'll say that they're Iroquois, Apache, Navajo, Potawatomi, Seminole, Chiricahua, Comanche, Nez Perce, and a lot of those people were relocated to areas that didn't suit them. Trail of Tears, like the Cherokee. So people keep their identity, just like there's always a Little Italy and a Chinatown in almost every major city. What else?